Hello, you're listening to Caring Out Loud, a podcast for carers by carers. I'm Cullen.
I'm Suzy.
And last week we looked at what is a carer, and this week now we want to go in a bit deeper and find out what support is out there for carers.
We started by speaking to Tina, who has supported carers in many different ways. Tina's worked for Derbyshire Carers Association and supported carers for 7 years. We chatted about what it means to care for someone, reacting to the initial diagnosis of a loved one, the ups and downs and the support that's out there for carers.
I'm one of the hospital liaison workers. So the H Connect is part of something called the Accelerating Reform funded project, and it's basically looking at how we can make carers visible in hospital settings and things like that. I'm one of the hospital liaison workers, so I deliver training to our pilot wards and other sort of like NHS staff and GP surgeries and things like that who want to increase their carer awareness. And the plan is, at the end of it, our pilot wards will get a quality mark to say that they are carer aware, that they are carer champions. I've worked at DCA since 2018, and I used to be a carer support worker, so I would be the one that would be on the phone, going to home visits and doing carers assessments, helping on the helpline.
For those who might be new to caring or haven't accessed support before, how can they reach out?
So if you're new to caring, your support will be based on who you're caring for. So, for example, if my mum lived in Derby and I'm her carer, but I live in Staffordshire, I would get support from Derby City Council because that's where the person I'm supporting lives. It's not based on where you live, it's based on where they live. So I would come to Derby City for support. If I lived in Derbyshire and my mum lived in Derbyshire, I could go to Derbyshire. So it's always based on where the person you're caring for lives. And an easy way to check that is if you did something like Googled it, like support services for Derby City or things like that, it would come up, it would.
Is all carers' experience the same, and do all carers need the same level of support?
Every single carer has a different journey than anybody else. There are some similarities, just like with some illnesses there are, but it's always unique. I've supported a 92-year-old man who's a carer, and he's like, I'm fine, I don't need your help. You're like, great. And you might have somebody who's a bit younger and they are completely overwhelmed. The thing with the caring is it changes relationships and it changes dynamics as well. And for some people, that's okay. For others, it can feel like your world is imploding, and it might not even be that you're providing 24 hours of care, but all of a sudden, you know, my mum's falling all the time. I don't know what to do about this. I'm really worried about a health, a physical health. Where do I go for all this sort of support? So the care role is really unique, and the journey to it is really unique as well. Caring isn't all-encompassing. You could just do it for a couple of hours a week. You don't even have to live with the person you're caring for. It really is unique to absolutely everybody it is. I think what's just important is that it doesn't matter where you are on your care journey. If you're struggling, definitely reach out. Even if you go to your GP and say, I'm really struggling, I don't know what to do. They have like social prescribers, there can be care coordinators. The GP is a really good place to actually start. It is. So just reach out and try and get as much support as you can, and just be honest about the support you need. If you want to turn around and say, I can't care anymore, I can't do this, that is okay. But what do we need to do to make sure the person that you're caring for is safe?
So can you tell us a bit more about carers? Because I know from experience that my caring role isn't the same as somebody else's caring role, for instance.
There can be primary and secondary carers, right? But what you might actually get is that there's mum and dad living, mum's looking after dad, but actually daughter's in the background and she's a carer and she's supporting them. And she might even be supporting both of them to enable mum to be a carer. So actually daughter's a carer. And again, it comes to that idea of what a carer is, doesn't it? And how you support and what you're doing. So you can have secondary carers as well, you can do. And I think it is important to highlight as well that, you know, at Derbyshire Carers and other places, there are support for children as well who are carers, the young carers.
Thanks, Tina, for sharing your wealth of knowledge with us. Tina mentioned young carers in our chats, and if you're interested in hearing more, we looked closer at this in episode 1. You can find all those episodes online. Cullen, before we decided you were actually going to co-host this podcast with me, we did have a chat in the earlier days about caring and the support that carers can access. I thought it'd be good to include this clip as it's actually really helpful.
a long time ago as a teenager, about 16 years old. My granddad had dementia, and I watched my nan and mum look after him. I was working nights and everyone worked days, which meant I was the only one around in the day, so I started care that way by supporting the family looking after Grandad. But my experience was I was a waiter and started seeing care workers, and that, not immediately, but a few years later translated to when I wanted to get out of waiting. I thought, I'm going to have a go at being a carer. And to be honest, the passion was already there. Like, I didn't have to do what I did, and I can't really explain it. I am that person. I want to be involved and I want to help. And so I think from what I saw and that characteristic combined at some point, and I went and got a job in care.
Thanks for sharing your journey, Cullen. From someone who's been a carer, caring from a family member, and now someone who supports other carers every week, what support is out there for carers?
There is lots for carers. I know the world can feel very like the system's broken, but I often in this job role hear of people saying, we're ticking along and all of a sudden something happened, now we've got a diagnosis of X, and I might then speak to them a few weeks after the diagnosis and they're going to say to me probably, okay, can you tell me who you are and who you're from? Because as a result of that diagnosis, several other people, groups, organisations have contacted that family, and sometimes it can be overwhelming, the amount of people wanting to offer different support. And there's loads out there, from informal things, getting together with other carers, having a drink, having a chat, to days out. There's even carers festivals. There's all kinds of things, from yoga to art to men's groups, women's groups. There's all kinds of things. It surprises you. It surprises me, and I've been in care for about 15 years.
That's all great, Cullen, but where do listeners find the information for the support groups and services?
Through Derbyshire Carers, to be a good employee, definitely. And I don't mean that of any sarcasm. We have a huge network of information that's updated regularly. We have a digital calendar that's all free stuff going on in the whole of Derbyshire. But not just to blow our own trumpet, we are linked up, and there are loads of other organisations like the Carers Trust and other entities, like your local CVS, your local community volunteering service. There's so many ways of getting involved with your community, and that's a challenge for carers, because now you're more responsible. Maybe you're housebound, maybe your partner or the loved one needs you there, so getting away can be more tricky, and that's why it's so important. Even if it's 5 minutes of a day to have for yourself, hopefully it's a couple of hours once a week to go and do something you enjoy, like these groups that we're able to share with people.
What would you say to someone who's nervous to go to a group or reach out for support?
Many of us, me included, can naturally be quite apprehensive of going and trying new places, new things. But to tell you what you know, if you don't go and have a look, you'll never know. I've been to things that I haven't gone back to, and I've been to things that I now go to regularly. Like, I'm part of a men's group in Derby City, and I dip in and out of that, and it gives me lots.
And what advice would you give to those listening who might be new to caring or struggling today?
Don't isolate yourself. For example, my neighbours and I are like that in-between of friend and someone you know, but it adds a lot. You know, just passing by people, knowing them, hey Cheryl, hey Sharon, and you might chat for a couple of minutes. People talk down on small talk, but I actually think that can be a really important part of being a carer, because suddenly the small talk from your friends and family changes to, how are you? How are they? You know, it becomes very serious, and small talk can just be light and lets you know, oh, I know that person, and that can give you something. It's kind of like when you're young, you want to know your peers.
Yeah.
And I don't know when it happens, but at some point we kind of, adulting catches up with you and life gets quicker and quicker. And don't isolate yourself, it won't help, is the nutshell.
Cullen, where can carers go for more information?
You could Google Derbyshire Carers Association. We have a digital calendar. You could Google the place, village, town, city that you live and type in the kind of things you're looking for. There are groups out there. Oh, online as well, because lots of people can't get out. And there's a ton of stuff online now with the video calls, and we have meditation and reading groups and all sorts on there as well.
That was a chat myself and Cullen had right at the start of creating this podcast, before we even knew you'd be co-hosting.
Yeah, and of course I didn't know either, But I think because of the kind of nosy person I am, I started looking at what are they doing in there, and then I find out, and I was just really keen to be involved. We asked carers and those who support them what would their one top tip be for those who are listening, and here's what they had to say.
If you feel that you would benefit from help, then just demand it, really. Just keep going on and don't let it get you down too much, and keep persevering to get the help that you need.
I think the best tip to reach out, try and find a group. The support services, there are some really good support services around. It's taking that step, because they'll give you a leaflet and say, come and join us on this group and that group. Making that first trip is the difficult bit, because you think, I don't know anybody there, they'll all have their own little cliques and things like that, but it's not like that at all.
Yeah, don't be frightened to admit that you can't cope. That's what I would say. Just open up to it all and just keep going and get the help.
Well, I've got two hats that I wear. So I'm the wellbeing coordinator for Universal Services for Carers, but I also teach yoga. So, you know, for me, it's go outside and breathe. Keep it simple. But there is something about lengthening the out-breath. So if you can, you take a deep breath in, open your mouth, and a long exhale out. And that is known, that's scientifically proven, to support your nervous system, to help regulate it, and to help ground down back into the present moment, however difficult it is.
I think it is self-care, but I've only just found that out. And I love spending time with my animals when I get a chance, because they're so therapeutic. 2 cats and a sausage dog. So that's what I try to do at least once a week, and I do get a night off a week where I can have one decent night's sleep as well.
My top tip is talking. So instead of keeping things in, sort of share your thoughts and your feelings, and it just helps you to process it, and it just sort of relieves some of that pressure. That's my top tip.
Thanks for joining us on Caring Out Loud.
Don't forget, we have lots of information in the text that goes alongside the episodes, including links to support services and where to find out more information.